people look at you and they see a serial entrepreneur, was that always part of the plan?
Not at all. I have no family members who are in business at all. And so when I was growing up, I wasn't thinking about business as a career. I was thinking about law, being a teacher. I was thinking about all kinds of other things, but not business.
And so how did this all unfold?
I was on campus my senior year. I was a political economy major, and all the other majors were interviewing for this thing called management consulting and investment banking. I went through the interview process and got some offers, and I thought, well, maybe I'm good at this.
So now you're kind of in the business world, but you're kind of in the corporate world at this point in time.
Yes.
And a lot of people sort of get into that world and they say, all right, that's what I'm sticking with. Why the shift to entrepreneurship?
Well, so I was in banking and in consulting, saw a lot of bigger companies, and I thought, I'm not sure I'll be able to work my way up inside a company. I'm not sure I've got that personality. But at the time I thought it will be the most rewarding for me, particularly also as this is 1991. As a female and as a minority female, the best way to not be judged based on who I am, but what I do, is to maybe put a product into the consumer market and see if anyone buys it. If they like the product, it'll sell, and I'll be judged on the merits of my work rather than what I look like. And that is fundamentally why one of the big reasons that I decided to pursue that path.
It seems like there's this art and science to, the stick-with-itness when you think about strategy. I'm gonna stick with that strategy versus I'm gonna take these setbacks and failures and I'm gonna adapt to them. I'm gonna go do something different, or I'm gonna pivot. But how do you know what the right balance is?
One of my favorite parts about my job is strategy. And I think strategy is it's the plan that allows you to define your position in a market. But I think one of the nuances is that some strategy is very long-term and fundamental. You've abstracted enough that it shouldn't be changing all the time. For example, what does my brand stand for? If you've done it right the first time, hopefully you're not changing it every 3 to 6 months.
What's one of the things that a small business owner has to keep in mind when they're thinking about business strategy?
Well, with limited runway, meaning cash in the bank, and time, I think of it as cash equals time to experiment. One of the most important things is to fail fast, to learn quickly, experiment quickly, such that you can learn fast enough before your cash runs out. So that's really the critical idea. This idea of, I'm going to test something before I build it, see if anybody tries to open the door. If I build a false door and a customer tries to open that door, I can then build behind the door. That's the analogy.
And the stakes are low at that point.
Much lower. That's right. You can decide much more efficiently how to use your scarce capital.
Yeah. So how do I figure out the cheapest way to go get the insight so that the stakes are relatively low, and if I fail, I'm failing fast?
So I feel like you can use online survey companies, online market research companies. You can buy a panel and say, I'd like to survey people who fit this kind of demographic. And if you are able to do that, you can at least also glean market research fairly affordably now on a pretty big scale level before you start spending capital.